Alright, so I'm working on a 2003 Ford Escape today, and we have a power steering issue. She says she puts power steering fluid in it once every couple days. It's obviously making a lot of noise, and it's leaking fluid. So I looked it over here, and I think I'm going to replace the pump on it because it's been going on for a while, and the pump's making a lot of noise. Even when the fluid is hot, at the normal level, it still makes a lot of noise. I was looking at trying to figure out where the leak's at on it, and I think it's right here. This line is bad. Somebody cut this off, and that's just a high pressure connector here for the power steering line. That's cut off, so I'm going to replace that. And then this line right here is wet, which is usually an indication that it's leaking here at this joint. And then it's loose right here, so it's probably just pouring out right there. So I'm just going to go ahead and replace this line. It's seen better days, and we're going to replace the pump, and then we're going to get a connector for this and plug that back in and see how it goes from there. But I look back at the rack and all that. It looks dry over there, and all the fluid is just like all right in here in this area, which would make sense if this line's spurting out like that. It's getting all over the fender well, and that's why she has to keep putting fluid in every couple of days. So I'm going to go ahead and get it up in the air. First thing I'm going to do probably is take this line loose right here at the pump. This connects to the pump, and then there's a line that's about this long. It's a steel line, and that goes down to the pump. So we're not going to take that off. We're just going to take it off from here, move this out of the way, get this motor mount out of the way, and then we'll pull the belt off and start pulling that power steering pump off and go from there. So I'm going to get it up in the air real quick, and we'll take this line off from here. It doesn't look like it's too big of a job to take it off from the back of the rack, and then we'll take that motor mount off. So anyway, I'm going to get it set up, ready to go, and then we'll start taking this thing apart. All right, we got an 18 up here at the top. Go ahead and pull this off. Might have to replace this line, this hard line. There's a lot going on with this one. Evidently someone else had worked on it, and it actually got worse after they worked on it. I'm not sure what they did, but all I'm doing right now is just taking that 18 off at this hard line going from the pump, and then we're going to move it out of the way. May end up having to get this hard line too. Looks kind of weird, like it's maybe stripped or something. Like I said, she said she took it to somebody, I guess a couple weeks ago, because she was losing so much fluid. They did something to it. She said she got it back and it made it worse. And maybe it's possible, she said the person may have put brake fluid in instead of power steering fluid. So we're going to have to flush this whole thing out. So yeah, it looks like they put a whole bunch of gasket sealer or something around the threads trying to fix it instead of just replacing the line possibly. So that won't fix it. So now we're going to pull this motor mount off and get it out of the way so we can get to that power steering pump. We'll get the tools for that. We'll be right back. Alright, so we're just going to remove all the bolts for this motor mount. These should be all 18, I believe. Got about 6 of them, not counting the nut for that ground. And I do have a jack under the oil pan, and I have a drain plug underneath this power steering pump, so we're not making a huge mess. You see there, the engine dropped a little bit, but like I said, I do have a jack underneath it with a block of wood. So it's not going anywhere. I should have one more left, and then this should. Get this mount out of the way for the most part. Light, and I'm going to go ahead and remove this the lower mount here just to get it out of the way, and then we should be able to take the belt off and then start getting the pump off. So I'm going to get the tools real quick to take that lower mount off. I believe it's 3 bolts to hold on. You got 2 in the front and then 1 back here. I think they're 14, but I'll let you know when I take it off. Alright, so you're just putting a 3/8 ratchet down into this tensioner here, and you're going to pull it towards the front of the car, and that'll loosen the belt up, and you can pull the belt off. So all you're doing is just putting the ratchet down in that tensioner, 3/8. I got like a long pipe that kind of helps me, makes it easier to pull it forward. That's all you're doing to take the belt off. Alright, this next step's a lot easier if you have a real small impact, stubby impact. You take that power steering nut off, 18 millimeter. Now I used my stubby impact, comes right off. If you don't have that, then you might want to skip taking the belt off. Don't do that yet. Leave the belt on, and then figure out a way to secure this pulley while you're loosening the nut. Now, I want to say a long time ago we used to put a wrench in the pulley and kind of support it against the firewall. You might be able to get something in. Yeah, there's a ledge down here at the bottom. You might be able to put like a small screwdriver or drift or something in there to hold it, and then take it off by hand. I mean, obviously it helps if you have a stubby impact. If you don't have that, then you know, you could put something inside the hole here, turn it till it catches something, and then loosen the nut with it that way. Since I had the impact, I just go ahead and take the belt off and then zip it off. So it helps to have that kind of tools. So I think there's like 5 or 8 10 millimeter nuts that hold this pump onto the engine. I can't remember exactly. I'll go over it. Once you get the pulley out of the way, they're all right there in the open. So I'll kind of show you what's going on as I take it off, and then we'll go from there. Alright, I believe they're all 10 millimeter. Try to get this light where. You do have the return hose still on it too. It's right here. I'll take that off last probably. And it looks like the return hose is new, so that maybe that's what the other guy put on was a return hose. I'm not sure. She didn't really know either. She just said it's leaking, she has to put fluid in it, and it actually got worse when she got it back. And I don't honestly even know if the other guy's a mechanic or just somebody that kind of does it on the side or whatever. So I got two that are kind of recessed in the pump, and I don't want to lose the nuts, so I'm just taking my magnet and taking them out the rest of the way. So that's 4 altogether. I know there's more than that. Yeah, there's one down the bottom. There's a whole bunch of them on this. Kind of a weird, a little bit of an odd design. The pump's kind of flat and weird looking. It's not like a normal. And I would strongly suggest putting a pan underneath here, because when you take that return line off, you're going to lose a lot of fluid. I think I got one more, at least one more maybe. Batteries are getting low. You're right, this is way tighter than. I think. I think all the small ones are out. Now we just have the 2 big ones. Those are 13 millimeter. Those are 2 on the top. Oh, that's really tight. Before I pull this away from the engine, I will loosen this top line. I gotta do a small extension. Alright, so I lied, they're 13 millimeter, not 14 millimeter. Pop these off. Get this mount completely out of the way. One, it's kind of in all this mess here. Alright, so I got those 2 top bolts, and then the line, the reservoir line coming in. I already loosened that, so I'm just going to kind of pull that out, hopefully without making a huge mess. Alright. So here's your pump right here. This is how it sits in the engine. You have the 2 13 millimeters up here, and then you just have some 10 millimeters that go around the outside of it. And this is what it looks like. And here is, oh, somebody stripped this out. Here's this little line here, and someone's been in here. This is all stripped out and rounded off. So I might go ahead and see if they have that and order it just to have it new. I don't think it costs that much. And this pump's actually been replaced at some point, and unfortunately it's been ran dry so many times it's going out. So anyway, this is what it looks like, and this is how it sits on the engine like that. And this is the bolts the nuts you'll be going after, and then the 2 top ones here. It actually sits like this. So I'm gonna get the new part, and then we'll start putting this together. Actually, probably what I'll do next is take that line off from the rack and pinion down, the high pressure line, and then we'll start putting this back on. So anyway, I got the parts ordered, waiting for them to show up with them, and then we'll pick this back up. Alright, so we got a little bit of work to do before we, this is how my pump comes. You can see there's no bracket, no lines, no nothing on it. And so we have to do a little bit of work to install it, or before we install it. Got some O-rings here, which I'm sure is for these lines. This one is stripped out. Someone's changed this before and stripped it out. And anyway, I already broke it loose. I'm probably going to go ahead and change this one if they have it in stock, just because don't like it all stripped out like this, even though it really probably doesn't affect it in any way. I don't think the line is very expensive, and it feels kind of weird coming out of there. Maybe there's more to this than what I thought. Yeah, I think this thing's cross-threaded inside here. This should not be this tight coming out. So this thing is definitely, something's going on with this cross-threaded. So I'm going to definitely get a new one of these, because we don't want to. Alright, so I finally got it out. Yeah, it looks, oops. Looks like they made new threads going all the way in on that. So that's not good, but we're going to get a new one, so I'm not going to worry about it. So we got to take this back pipe off here. This is what feeds your pump from the reservoir. This should have O-rings, and those should be in that pack that we got with the new pump. This stupid impact wrench. I lost the retainer clip on it, and it fell off. I didn't lose it. Now I just want to throw it away because it won't hold the socket. It's a shame because the gun itself works good. Okay, so there's an O-ring right here, so we'll have to put that on. You can see here we got assortment, so we'll find the right size and put that on. And then on the front, we're just going to take off the three 12mm bolts. That should pop the pump out of this bracket. I am going to take this off and just kind of orient this right where it went right away. I'm actually about ready to go get lunch. I don't want to forget. It may go on more than one way. I'm not sure. Probably not, but just makes it easier to orient right away. Like I said, this pump looks relatively new. It hasn't been on there. I don't think it's brand new, but it hasn't been on there that long. It's just whoever installed it should have replaced the high pressure line, and they should have not cross-threaded this all the way down. So we're going to have to replace it again. Hopefully she didn't just pay for that. So it doesn't look like it because the sticker's kind of rubbed off. Looks like it might be a year old. It's not very old though. So we'll go ahead and do it right. Hopefully she won't have any more problems with it. So I'm going to go ahead and put the O-ring on that, reinstall this up here. I'm going to have to go get this, and then I'll come back and we'll put it back on the car. So I didn't order this originally because I didn't know I was going to need it. But I don't feel comfortable with this having, yeah, these threads are all boogered up. So hopefully they have it in stock, and then we'll come back and finish this up. Alright, so we finally got the other pipe, so we're just going to put this on. Try to orient it as close as you can to where it was. And then this has got a little plug in it we have to pull out. I got to pull those two plugs out, and then we'll put these pipes in. Alright, so I got this pipe screwed in. I got it oriented about where it needs to be, and then I'm going to tighten it. And then we got this pipe up here. I found the O-ring that fits into this groove here. Don't forget that, otherwise you'll have a leak. And That should come with your, make sure I found the right one. Let me check this one. This should come with your, yeah, this one's too small. So there's only one size that fits in there. And it really just kind of sets in that groove. It's not, doesn't press in very hard. And we're just going to go ahead and put these bolts back in, screw them down, and then start putting it back together. I've already got the new line going down to the rack and pinion installed. I can show you how that works in case you're going to change your line too. It's not too bad. You don't have to get under it either. It's 10mm bolt from the top, and want to make sure my O-ring didn't slip out. And then it's got one 10mm bolt that hooks to the frame, kind of attaches everything. That's all it really is to that. Man, I really hate that I lost the ring. Anyway, lose it. This thing just fell off on this impact. Now it doesn't want to hold anything. So anyway, I'll take you over. I'll show you that line real quick, and I'm going to go ahead and tighten this up the rest of the way about where it should be, and then we'll go over and start reinstalling it. Alright, so this is the new line. I already took the old line off. And what you're going to do is, if I can get uncaught here. This is the end of the line that goes down to your rack and pinion, and it has this bracket here. This bracket slides over, obviously, this line and then the return line. And the line comes with two new O-rings, a big one, a small one. The big one goes on the pressure line, the little one goes on the return line. Make sure you change those out, and then you have a 10mm bolt that goes right here. That's what holds everything together, and this goes down into the rack, and put the 10mm bolt in. So I'll go down there and show you, and then you will have one bracket down by the frames, 10mm. I got to change it off from the old line that goes about right here. You'll see it. Just take your 10mm bolt out, and then you have to reuse that bracket on the new line. And all it is just wraps around it, and then it's got a little rubber piece on it. So I'll take you down into the rack where it's at and kind of show you where it's at. This is what I use to get it out. You get your arm down in there. And I just use a 10mm deep well and a small extension, probably a 3-inch extension, and a swivel head, 1/4-inch ratchet, and it goes right down in there and gets it out. So I'll get you down in there and kind of show you where it's at. So you, if in case you're going to do this, you know where it's at. You get it from the top. You can't really see it from the bottom or anything. So there's no point in jacking it way up or anything like that. So anyway, I'll get you down there after I get that line on and show you where it's at. Alright, so you want to kind of find your transmission distich tube. Then you want to go down, kind of file that down. And I'm hoping you can kind of see it right there. There's the two lines. You see my new line that's right there, hopefully. And then, hold on one second. So, try to get this down in here. So right there, you see that new line right there, and then there's an older looking line. That's the return line. There's nothing wrong with that. And then right underneath that bracket is a 10mm bolt. You take that 10mm bolt out, those lines just pull straight out. So, and the way you get to it is just kind of file your dipstick tube down into that hole. And there's enough room right in here to get your arm and hand. And like I said before, I just used a 3/8 extension, a deep well 10, and a 1/4-inch ratchet. Got it right out. So that line goes back, and there's another frame mount down there, and then it comes up around here to the power steering pump. So we'll do that. I'll get the power steering pump, and then we'll start putting that back together. Alright, so once you got the pump installed back on the bracket and got all your lines hooked up, you can go ahead and fish it back down into the engine here. all you're going to do there is just line it all back up with the now I made a mistake here. I put this on backwards, so this has to be flipped back around because I got it going the wrong way. So just be aware of that. It needs to go towards the pulley. So I'm going to flip this around real quick. This is what I made a mistake on. I put this backwards. It's easy to do. It goes on either way, but I got to flip that around real quick. Alright, I flipped that back around, stuck it back on there. So now all you're going to do is just go ahead and get all your bolts started. Remember the two big ones and the 2 1/2 inch are on the top, and then all the little nuts are throughout the pump bracket. So I'm just going to go ahead and start all those back up, and then tighten them down. So all you're basically doing at this point is just reversing the operation. The only thing you might run into a little bit is putting your pulley back on. If you don't have that impact, you got to find a way to hold it while you torque it back on. But other than that, we're just going to put all those nuts and bolts back in. Alright, so before you put your motor mount on, don't forget to put your pulley back on, torque that down, and put your serpentine belt on. It'll be easier. Going the wrong way. It'll be easier to do all that. Put your belt back on with the motor mount out of the way. Alright, so I just shut the camera off because the compressor keeps kicking on. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to fill it up and crank the engine over and then fill it up again, and then we'll start it. I have the connector for that. I bought it from O'Reilly's. I had it in stock. I'm sure most people do. I don't know what I did with it. Oh, here it is. Again, if you're just doing a power steering pump, you're probably not going to be doing all this extra stuff like this. But they did have the connector in stock, so I'm going to go ahead and attach that and get that fixed for her. And then we're just going to bleed the system out here, and should be good to go. I don't see any other place where it's going to leak. I think we fixed all the issues. So whoever's worked on it before, it's kind of amateur hour. They did something with the intake here. There's a whole bunch of caster sealers sticking out along the side stuff. So I'm not sure what's going on with all that, but I was just tasked to fix the power steering, so that's what I'm going to do. So anyway, hopefully this will help you. It's not too bad of a job. Once you get the motor mount stuff out of the way, everything's right there. Your biggest hassle might be getting your pulley off. Like I said, if you can find something to jam in there and then get it loose, and then do the. It helps if you have a stubby impact. If you don't have that, then you're going to have to come up with something a little bit more creative to hold that pulley while you loosen it. So, and then like I said, put a jack under there, under the engine, and that way when you're putting this mount back in, you can kind of adjust the engine where you need it to be, and it's not just hanging in there. So, I hope that helps you. This is a 03 Ford Escape power steering with a V6. Thanks for watching. As always, God bless. Alright, with the motor mount, you're just putting all the bolts back in. Don't forget you do have like a ground here, and you have a clamp that goes from the power steering pump here, over the line over to the thing. That goes on after. There's an extra nut for that. And you may have to move your jack around a little bit